want to talk about the why, the what, and the how. In terms of why you even consider tax reform, it's because any nation, any society only has two aims, right? Prosperity and fairness. The size of the pie and how that pie is sliced up. And tax reform in particular can be a vital contributor to prosperity, to a living standard. We do it right, we make a big difference. And first message for you, tax reform in Australia today is more important than it's ever been. Because only three things can contribute to prosperity, our living standards. You can have a bigger share of the population working, but the baby boomers are going to retire. In fact, they already are. The share of the population in work peaked almost 5 years ago. Or the world can give you a pay rise, as indeed it did for a decade, as China grew faster and coal and iron ore prices went through the roof. But we are now in the second decade of the rise of emerging Asia, and the first decade was a boom in prices and demand. This current decade is a boom in supply, and those prices are headed down. Or in other words, two of the three drivers of prosperity are headed the wrong way. Boomer retirement is a problem. Commodity prices are headed down. And that says productivity, the effectiveness with which we work, is got to be a vital driver of what we concentrate on as a nation, as a society. And sure, a bunch of things drive productivity, technologies and the like. But in terms of economic reforms, we have three standouts on the stage. Competition reform with my colleague Ian Harper. You've got federation reform and its close cousin, tax reform. Treasury's discussion paper hinted you might get 1.5% increase in the size of the economy, increase in living standards from a good tax reform package. In fact, it's better than that. If you want to raise prosperity, it's very simple. Just turn to page 25 of that discussion paper from Treasury. It shows a remarkable spread between the best and the worst taxes. What do I mean? Every time we raise a dollar, we hurt the economy. But some taxes hurt it a lot more than others. Now, that particular chart only showed 5 taxes, but if you put all Australian taxes on there, that gives you the menu. Now, we know how to do this. If the key to taxation reform is increasing prosperity, then you reduce the taxes with those big deadweight losses, and you get that money back with the taxes with the smaller deadweight losses. We know how to do it. Now, that second aim I mentioned, fairness, how the pie is sliced up. Tax is mostly a prosperity discussion. Spending, Commission of Audit, is mostly a fairness discussion. You look at well, Tony mentioned that those aged care reforms that look like going through with the support of the Greens. Right, that is increased fairness. That's a great thing. But it's not that tax and fairness are completely separate. Again, both Tony and Kerry have mentioned superannuation. I couldn't agree more. Right? We spend a fortune, and in terms of the fundamental policy aims of superannuation, we're not achieving much. So that is an area where fairness, we can do something. So first thought, around the why. Why do we do this? Because we can be more prosperous and because we can be fairer. We can be better Australians than we already are if we do this right. That's why we do it. And the what? We're shifting from those really bad taxes towards the taxes that are rather better, and we're shifting from more unfair types of taxation to fairer types of taxation. In terms of the how, though, that's the tricky bit. Kerry's right, some bits of the landscape keep changing. New electronic forms of commerce mean that profit shifting is a bit of all those things. Having said that, we know, all right, we know these answers. That discussion paper out of Treasury didn't tell us anything new. The Henry review remains a marvellous roadmap going forward. I have no problems with a white paper process. But we already know. We know how to do it. We just don't know how to do it. We are here in the House that should be doing it. But, as Tony said, our politicians are failing us. They keep ruling stuff out, including stuff that they know would be good reforms. And if you ask me around the how, it's very frustrating. But moments like this, groups like this, gatherings like this can be part of embarrassing our politicians into it, if nothing else. It is really hard with the state of politics in Australia at the moment for politicians in either side to lead. It's getting increasingly easy to become Prime Minister and increasingly hard to do something with it. If we want our Prime Ministers, if we want our governments to do something, and there is genuine, good tax reform that we could do. We all know, we might disagree on the details, there'd be 80, 90% agreement in the room. We need to create the cover for the politicians to act. I think that's our task and our agenda.